Today in Inside Craft Show, we're going to talk about location scouting, and we're going to talk about how we took this bad boy in the caves, on the mountain, through the waterfall, all over the crazy place. Like, I am nearly freaking out. I don't like confined spaces, but for this film, what choice do we have? Holy cow, the view is ridiculous.
Now you gotta turn around and go right behind you to the other hole.
Oh, no way, where's that one go?
Oh yeah.
Where's it go?
You'll see.
I'll do it!
You got it. It's for the film.
Are you sure? I hope so. You caught it too.
Are you good, Jeff? So we're calling today Pro Tip Thursdays, where we're going to try and go through and just give like production tips and tricks and insider. In this particular case, it is GH5 centric in that it was the footage you're going to see is shot on the GH5, and we were there with two GH5s, one being an anamorphic rig, which I showed is here, and the other being the BTS cam that we brought with us just so we could show some cool content. That said, this applies to any production platform. This is not a camera specific piece. It just so happens we were using that. It did really well, by the way, in the rugged environment. We were dirty, dusty. I mean, I'm talking about this was some savage work we jumped in on, and it was fantastic. A couple little narrow, harrowing escapes, but we were able to pull it off. One of the things is, as you can see, like crawling through that tunnel, not my jam, not a big fan of tight spaces, like totally freaked me out. Getting the camera through there, it was nice to have the small form factor for the smaller camera just to get those BTS type shots. I think if we were shooting the feature, it'd be a much slower process, piece by piece bringing it through, but even then, it's still fairly compact. It did afford us a nice lightweight position to get through it, so there's a little plug for it because I loved it and it did a great thing. So location scouting, first thing is find a local. That's the best thing you can do. Or if you can afford a location manager, get one of those. But they're going to go find a local. So either way, you want either a location manager or find a local. In this case, we worked directly with a group called True Adventure Sports. And Isreal Partridge is one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet in your entire life. He and his family are just lovely human beings. And they just really have a calling for what they're doing, right? And they're truly just amazing people. I can't say that enough. So Isreal was gracious enough to link up with us and then take us to remote locations that he knew. Isreal has been a consultant on plenty of projects, especially like when it comes to mountaineering or caving or any of that type of stuff. So he worked on Failure to Launch, that Matthew McConaughey. I never saw it, I didn't want to break his heart, but I remember there being a cool mountain rig, and he talked about a little bit of how they put that together. It sounded crazy. And he also did, he worked with Bear Grylls on whatever that show is, Bear Grylls show. So he's bona fide in the business, has been around it. So that's an advantage. But he also understood production. So he brought us to locations that were hikeable in if we wanted to go that route. So he kind of just gave us tiers of challenge of getting in and out. But they're also very rarely seen. One of them has never really even been shown on camera. So he helped us with that. We'd also done some previous shooting. So you kind of like wherever you are, take a photo, take a snapshot, and then, anchor it with a GPS tag. So it just kind of sets you up to think about these because you never know when you're going to want to recall them. It's kind of like dialogue. When I hear somebody talking, I just jot down something pretty cool that I might have heard, or I'll make a note in my phone. Same thing with the locations. Constantly look for great opportunities, really cool locations. So like the girl, we talked about doing some of those pipe shots where the girl's in here somewhere.
Yeah. Going down. But I will.
Set the camera down. Way on that side. Set it on the ground. You can let it be slide. Or you can shoot it. It's rolling. So we have to go this way, he says. This skinny guy, as the fat guy fits through. All right, now we did it. TAS, check them out. True Adventure Sports brought us here. Look at that. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Let me adjust this bad boy. I'm getting bit by a cow ant. It hurts. Wow.
So this is where you'd have to hand the camera around. Now you can go through it back around there and cut through, and you can go through there.
So I could bring the
safely.
terrified actor that way.
Yeah, you can carry them that way, but this is like, in there is like the ultimate hiding place. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. So location scouting, this looks like a typical news package, but location scouting, you got to think about a lot of different stuff. So we're scouting these caves, we're up on a cliff. One of the things I brought with me to make sure of was my meter, because I can guess what the lighting's going to be, but the reality of the situation is it's going to change. So think about things like having your light meter with you. So for example, we know that out by the sun, we're at an 8, and this is 23976, shutter angle is 180, and then ISO is 400. Inside a little bit, made a spider angry. Inside a little bit, we're closer to a 4, and as we get deeper into the cave, we're now at a 2.8 back here, so we have to be conscious of our lensing element. And then finally the crawling at 400 is a 1. So we would have to expose differently. So we now know we either are going to open up, we're going to bring more light, or we're going to do something else to add to these pieces here.
Watch yourself.
Yeah,
Got that on screen.
That'll go good.
Yeah, well.
And that's it. That's really it. That's kind of the location scout side of things. Like I always take my meter. I take a notepad with me. I draw little diagrams. I start working on the shot list. Often, especially now with the GH5 or any DSLR, it works. But when we have one of these cameras, I bring the camera with me, not just to get cool stills and shoot some BTS stuff, but I start working out shots a little bit. I just put on like a 12 to 60, and I know that I can work out some of the shots, and me and Jeff will frame them up. There's a couple of examples of that in there where we were just testing frame ups. Now in this case, we also brought the anamorphics because we were doing a test in that. But so it's a great thing to have, is to have this cool location scouting cam where you can snap photos and then work out shots in real time and just kind of figure out what you want to do. Always make sure you have permission on these locations. That's the big one. It certainly doesn't hurt to have production insurance. So often people will ask, well, how much does it cost to get these locations? You'd be surprised what you can negotiate if you know how to have the conversation. The truth is, keep your crew small, and a lot of locations are apt to it. Just keep in mind, the goal is, in the sales line for any location is, look, our company mandates that we leave the location in the exact same order we found it, if not better. And what does that mean? Well, you might do a small improvement. You might, we need to put a bench in the scene, and suddenly you leave the bench behind for them. And you just kind of work with them and negotiate that, and you can get your rates down. So in a lot of cases, you get places for free. You can get them for cheaper than you imagined. In this case, we were able to negotiate really good rates on all the locations that we're using. The other side of this is always be aware of the permits and special things that come along. So like national parks, it's tough. It's brutal to shoot in a national park. It's just really, really, really challenging. Same way with preserves. I think Isreal is telling us like a national preserve is even harder. So keep that in mind when you start scouting or building your short list. Don't look at that. If you're looking at houses, homes, building structures, and that kind of thing, just start knocking on doors. You'd be surprised what a generic letter will do. So if you find that perfect exterior of a house you want, just craft up a letter explaining what you want to do and ask them to contact you. Make sure, though, that you don't just fall in love with one. The biggest tip I can give is never fall in love with a single location, because it will change, and you probably won't get the first one you find. So make sure you give yourself an array of that. So just setting context of what we did to get to that spot. Coming in and out, pretty dirty, which is awesome. And inspired good ideas, and now we can get creative and get crazy. So the first thing I do is I walk the entire location, get the sort of magic and mystery of the location out of the way. I walk the location. I have not thought about creative. I might get a couple little ideas, but I try not to focus on the creative yet. Then I immediately look at the logistics. Why? Because if the logistics don't work, there's no reason to get all excited about the creative. So walk the location, get that out of your system, start thinking about logistics, what it took to get there, how you're going to get there, where the crew's going to park, how you're going to power things, what you're going to need in that space. Again, the light meter thing that I showed earlier. All of those components, then I get into the creative side. Then I finally get to sit down, start looking with the camera, and spend that time. And if you follow that process, what you will find, and I assure you of this, what you will find is locations will get knocked off your list very quickly, so you don't fall in love with something, because nothing sucks more than falling in love with a location that you're never going to have. So the thing about location scouting in certain places like this is you always have to keep in mind what you're looking for, because it's easy to get overwhelmed with how awesome. So it's about being centered on your shot list and keeping in mind your story. No matter how cool a camera angle will be, you still got to keep in mind your story. So that's basically it. Just a quick tip on location scouting that I guarantee you, if you apply these, your production value will skyrocket. That's a guarantee. That is a craft show guarantee. Stamp it. I don't know what that means. That was kind of stupid, but it will help you out. I've talked about it before, but I struggle with depression, and I got to tell you, this community has been so just amazingly uplifting. Just watching your creativity, watching how inspired you all are, I truly appreciate it. It means something to me personally. So if anyone's having a rough day, or you feel like you're not contributing, you are contributing, because you are, I'm telling you, directly affecting me. So my family, my wife, my 2 kids, Jeff's wife, I'm sure, everyone that knows me is very grateful, because your feedback and your passion is inspiring me even further. So I don't know how else to come across as sincere. I know on YouTube people do this a lot, but I'm really being serious. I am forever grateful. You have impacted my life in a way that means a lot. So yeah, don't forget, like, subscribe, share. We're here for you. We have the live show on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central Time. Please join us, join the conversation.
Yeah, you just did that, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm filming you. Make mistakes.
That works.
I did not know that you had the lens cap on.
Oh.
I just was filming over to show you, so that you were working.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.